All right, so my name is Teague. I'm known as Primal Life, and you are?
Enzo Health.
All right, bet. So, first question: when did you start the raw meat diet, and how long have you been doing it?
I started incorporating raw meat into my diet when I first started posting content, like around there. So I would say probably around a year ago, I started drinking raw milk and eating raw meat and stuff like that.
All right, and what made you start doing it?
To be honest, I was just curious, like seeing people like online eat like raw meat and stuff. It's I never seen it before. And then I started doing like more research into it, and then I saw like all the benefits of raw meat over cooked meat, like more nutrients, more hydrating. So I just decided to try it out for myself, and I felt good after doing it. So yeah.
And who made you start? Was it like Autogenous, or was it like Godis or someone else?
Right. So originally Godis kind of introduced me to it, right? Like seeing all of his TikToks.
Yeah,
But I would say the guy that got me into it was Excellent Health.
yeah.
Because like he did like a good video like explaining like the actual reasons behind it more in depth. So that's kind of what made me try it.
And how has your health changed from before eating raw meat to now?
It's definitely improved. I noticed that whenever I eat raw meat, my digestion feels really really good. So I think the main thing was my digestion. But I will say there have been other things that I've done, like optimizing my light environment, that I noticed have made a bigger difference in my health than eating raw meat. But I'd say eating raw meat mainly made my digestion better. That's what I'd say.
On that light environment, how like what do you think are the benefits of sun exposure, and do you think they're more important than diet?
I think whether they're more important than diet kind of depends on the context. Like if you're someone that's eating McDonald's, right? And then you start like eating like, raw meat and all that stuff, then diet is going to matter a lot more. But if you're someone that already has a decent diet, I think that the environment will matter more. That's what I noticed from my experience. Like I already had like a decent diet before starting to eat like raw meat. I was like whole kind of like a whole foods diet, I guess. My diet was already okay, right? And I think that's why I think light environment made a bigger difference for me.
Yeah.
And as for the benefits of like sun exposure in your light environment, well, first, vitamin D, it's so important for you, and you just can't really get enough vitamin D from food, in my opinion. Um, like even eating like high vitamin D foods, you only get like 7,000 IUs at like most, right? But
Yeah.
just like sitting in the sun for like 20 minutes gives you like over 30,000 IUs, right? Depending on the UV. So I think the vitamin D is one benefit. I think that it also like it kind of like charges your body, your water, right? Because like the water inside your body form like an exclusion zone, which basically creates a battery, right? And between like on one side you have like the negatively charged hydrogen ions, and then on the other side you have all the positively charged stuff that it excludes. So and going inside the sun actually grows that water, so it kind of like charges your battery, gives you more energy. So yeah.
All right, that sounds good. Um, how much sun do you aim for like a day?
Right. So I don't really have like a specific time. So what I do is I try to wake up at sunrise and get that early morning UV to prep my body for the later UV in the day. Get my circadian rhythm going. And then I kind of do it intuitively. So I like to, when the sun starts, getting strong, I go in like the direct sunlight. And then whenever like my body's telling me that I've gotten enough sun, I just go in the shade, and then I just stay in the shade for the rest of the day. So I'm still outside. I'm still getting UV.
Yeah. So, what is your opinion on sunscreen, and why do you think people think sun gives them like skin cancer?
Right. So Well, the first problem with sunscreen is all the harmful chemicals, right? That actually do lead to cancer, like avobenzene, all these things. Like it crosses the blood-brain barrier, and it's really not good for you. But even if you wear like a mineral sunscreen that won't have all those chemicals, you're still blocking out UV that people assume is harmful, but it's really not. And I think people believe UV to be harmful because of all like the whole push by the mainstream dermatology industry. Like they've really like fucked up society like with that shit.
Yeah.
Not even gonna lie. Um, but I think the reason is they use a bunch of like association studies based on people that have bad diets, bad omega 3 to 6 ratios. They don't have a proper solar callus. They're not really healthy, right? So those people, yeah, they might be damaged from the sun, but it just makes no sense for an actual healthy person to be damaged from the sun because our ancestors, evolved in high UV environments, right? So we adapted with the sun in mind. So there's no reason for the sun to be damaging. And all of the studies that are done on UV being harmful are done on isolated UV. We haven't really actually studied sunlight, so we use like the dermatologists, like they use like isolated UV, and not the actual full spectrum of sunlight. So when you're getting the sun, you're getting UV plus red light and infrared light, and that red and infrared light kind of helps your body deal with the UV. So it's kind of unfair to test isolated UV and then say that somehow the sun is bad. Like it makes absolutely no sense.
Yeah, of course. So when you started your diet, but then you started focusing on sun more, is that right?
Yeah, that's right.
How has your health changed from just like sun? Like how like when you started sunbathing more, how has that changed?
Oh, dude, I think like my health changed like a lot with the sun. Like first of all, my energy has gotten like so much better ever since I started like being outside more, getting like sunbathing, all that stuff, building a solar callus. Um, you know, Also like the light environment stuff is also like blocking out blue light at night. All that stuff has really helped my energy, my sleep, um, all that stuff. And I also noticed like it's also helped like my health indicators. Like I noticed that I looked a lot healthier
Yeah.
ever since I got like 10. So yeah.
All right, so back to the raw meat. What do you eat in a day? And is it the same every single day, or do you just try to aim for like specific things each day?
Right. So I will say I don't have like a full on raw meat diet. I more so incorporate it in my diet. So for breakfast I have like eggs. The way I do it is I like to cook the whites personally because I noticed that raw whites I don't really digest the raw whites well for whatever reason, just from personal experience. So I like to cook the whites and I eat the yolks raw, and then I eat it with some cold smoked salmon. So that's technically still raw,
Yeah.
because they don't use any heat on it. So I eat that, and then I also eat some fruit and raw milk. And then for lunch, I'll have maybe like a steak tartare. Sometimes I have a rare steak. Sometimes I make pork as well. And then I like to have that. Usually I have it with fruit or some like sweet potatoes. And then for dinner, I have it's pretty much like similar to lunch. I like to incorporate seafood a lot. So I love making raw seafood.
Yeah.
So I like making like sashimi, fish tartare, stuff like that. I like wild salmon. I recently tried this fish called stable fish. It was really good. And then I have that. And then at dinner, I also have usually a side of potatoes as well. And I also have raw milk a lot with my meals. So yeah.
Nice, sounds good. What's your opinion on like searing steak or like cooking it in general? Do you think cooking steak is toxic, or do you think that it could be okay here and there?
Right, yeah. I have cooked steaks, so I don't think it's toxic. Um I think that a lot of like the negative like byproducts, I guess, from cooking. A lot of it, like the AGEs, don't really make it through the stomach acid, and I think that we kind of evolved to have mechanisms um, to protect against those things. Like I'm not like those type of people that say like, oh, we've been cooking for like 780,000 years and we never ate raw meat.
Yeah.
Like, no, my view is a little more nuanced. I think that like looking at the data, I think we began like cooking starches right around like 120,000 years ago, and then we started cooking meat. And the reason why we started cooking meat is to cook like the tough parts, right? Because like try to eat like an oxtail raw, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it's super hard to do. So I think we just started utilizing more parts of the animal by cooking it. So I think we've been exposed to cooking for a good amount of time. I still think obviously raw is superior and there's benefits to raw, but I just incorporate both in my diet because I don't think cooking is necessarily bad. And if you just like make a rare steak, the inside is still going to be raw. So
Yeah. So, what made you start making content about raw meat and about health? Like, what got you into it?
right. I don't know. I just wanted to like try content creation, I guess. And I decided to do it based on like health because you know I was like you know changing a lot of aspects of my life to be more healthy. So I was like, oh, why not document it and kind of share my thoughts on it.
Sounds good. And what was your opinion? Like, what was your parents' or friends' opinion when you started eating raw meat?
My parents were definitely skeptical at first. Like when I started, I guess the steak tartare, they weren't really like that crazy about because like they've had it at restaurants before. The raw milk, surprisingly, they didn't care at all.
Hmm.
However, the thing that got them was the raw organs, like raw liver.
Yeah.
So that one, like first they were like super like mad about it. They were like, "Oh, you can't, like we're not allowing you to eat this in the house, whatever." And then I low-key just started doing it. And then they just slowly got like I guess kind of desensitized to it.
Yeah.
And now they've seen that like, you know, I've been doing this for like a year and I haven't gotten sick a single time. So like they're kind of, you know, they're kind of used to it.
Yeah. Where do you source most of your meat?
Um, so for steak, like raw steak, I get it from the supermarket called Sprouts here in the US.
Yeah.
It's kind of like an organic supermarket and they have like grass-fed beef. And like I've been eating it for like a long time and I haven't gotten any side effects from it. So I think it's a good source. And then for the seafood, I get it from there as well. But the organs and raw milk, I get it from like my local farmers market.
All right. Nice. All right. Let's shift gears to grounding. Now, I know you're a big advocate for grounding. What is your overall opinion on it, and what are the benefits of it?
Right. So, grounding, for those that don't know, is essentially like putting your feet on the earth and you're essentially connecting yourself with the charge of the earth. So, this essentially like allows negative, like, negatively charged ions or electrons to like flow through you through like your skin, your sweat glands, and that's essentially an antioxidant. Like that's the definition of an antioxidant because it quenches reactive oxygen species. So it essentially decreases inflammation within the body. So I think grounding is really useful, especially in modern society, because like you're constantly exposed to EMF from like Wi-Fi routers, 5G towers, and all that stuff. And I think that the grounding really helps mitigate a lot of the negative downsides of that. So I think grounding is a must in modern society, and I think that everyone should install some kind of grounding mat, or perhaps have their workstation set up near grass, so they're touching it often.
Yeah, of course. And on grounding, is there a difference between like grass and the beach? That's just a question. That's a personal question for me.
Right. So here's the difference. So grass, I would say it's like the level of grounding that you do. So, dry sand is gonna give you the least amount of conductivity, and then after that it goes grass, and then the best is gonna be wet sand slash the ocean.
Yeah.
The ocean's gonna have the best grounding conductivity and wet sand as well, because the minerals in the ocean water help conduct the charge.
Yeah. If you had to rank these four, sun, grounding, diet, and stress, what would you say are the most important?
I think that sun is, I think number one sun, because at the end of the day, how well you process food depends on how synced you are to the environment. So if you're not outside a lot, you're not really waking up early, you're not blocking blue light at night, you're not really optimizing your light environment.
Yeah,
Your circadian rhythm, your whole genome is going to be messed up. So you're not going to be able to actually process the food that you eat, right?
yeah,
So for that reason, I have it above food. And then food number two, it's also very important. And then it was, you said grounding and stress were the other two?
yeah.
Right. So I think stress number three. Yeah, stress number three, and then grounding number four.
All right. Have you tried? How is your like opinion? What is your opinion on stress and also working out in general?
Right. So my opinion is a little different from like the GOAT's opinion that like, oh, all stress is bad. I think like short-term stress isn't inherently bad, like working out, because it preps you, kind of like strengthens your body, and it preps you for like physical stress later on.
Yeah,
So I don't think that working out is bad. What you want to avoid is like chronic stress from like, you know, worrying about work or just worrying about bullshit in general. But I do think Godis does have a point, that a lot of people take exercise too far. So if you're doing like intense exercise every single day, that's gonna probably count as chronic stress. But so I recommend probably working out like 3 times a week max.
yeah,
That's what I'd say. So I'm kind of in the middle. So you don't want to work out too much, but not too little as well.
yeah. Of course. And what is your opinion on sports? Like for teenagers or kids these days, they're all playing sports. Do you think that is good, or do you think it's like worse than it is good?
Um, I think it really depends, because first of all, the problem with sports is that like so again, sometimes it is too much stress, right?
Yeah,
So you know, like a lot of sports, you know, they're having kids like practice every single day, like 2 hour long practices. I do think that is too much stress. um and also a lot of sports, they like carry out onto the night, right? So I know like a lot of soccer games, like they play after dark with the artificial lights, so that's definitely not good.
yeah,
Same with like a lot of like even like wrestling stuff, like Muay Thai. Like I used to do Muay Thai for a little bit. I think like it's good in general, but it's just like my gym, like the only trainings were at like late at night for some reason, like under artificial light, so had to stop that, right?
yeah.
So I think overall sports are good if they don't disrupt your natural light cycles and if you don't overdo them. But if you do overdo them, then they start getting bad.
Yeah. Talk a little bit more about those natural light signals and stuff like, or cycles, and talk about like blue light and how like your light, you should like be locking in like your light environment.
Right. So your circadian rhythm is extremely important. Like it controls 80% of your genes. So 80% of the genes in your body are controlled by your circadian rhythm, which is a lot, right? So your circadian rhythm uses light to kind of tune itself. So you get light through the eyes, and then it goes, and then that signal goes towards the super chiasmatic nucleus. I think I said that right. And then that essentially syncs your circadian rhythm, which regulates all your, you know, all your genes and stuff like that, all the timing in your body, because you have to think of your body like a complex, busy office, right? So imagine in a complex, busy office, if, you know, you weren't able to tell the time, every single department would go off sync and then chaos would ensue in the office, right? And that's the same thing that happens with your body. So at certain times your body expects certain signals. So in the morning your body expects bright light, and then your body expects the cascade starting from infrared light in like the early morning with no UV, and then the receptors in your eye sense UV, they start producing um, dopamine and stuff like that. right, and then your body like throughout the day expects a lot of brightness, right? So outside the brightness is like, I believe it's 10,000 to 100,000 lux, which is like the light intensity. And inside, I'm pretty sure the max light inside is 1,000 lux. So if you're inside, you're not getting enough brightness needed to sync your circadian rhythm. And then after that, your body's expecting, the light to decrease, so the light intensity to decrease, the UV to go down, and then your body kind of gets into sleep mode. It starts pumping out the melatonin, and then at this time, it expects darkness, right? And then if you have tons of bright lights throughout your house, tons of blue bright lights, you kind of disrupting that rhythm. So melatonin decreases, which is your body's master antioxidant. So you're not able to clear metabolic waste accumulated throughout the day. You're not able to kind of like clean your own body, I guess, right? And then it also disrupts your sleep. So it's absolutely horrible.
Yeah. So, what is your opinion on like red light therapy? Do you think it's beneficial?
Yeah, so I think that red light therapy is beneficial, but it will never be as beneficial as the sun. So a lot of people are like buying these expensive red light panels. However, they could just go outside and get even better benefits. So I think that ideally people should just use the sun.
Yeah, of course. And with the sun, what do you think is the best country to live in so that you're getting sun year round? And on top of that, the best country to live in so that you're getting the best quality food?
Yeah, so I think hands down Costa Rica, because Costa Rica it's tropical, so you have strong sun year round. And then the food access in Costa Rica is also really good. So you have access to pasture raised grass fed beef. You have access to raw milk. You have access to organs, all the stuff you'd want, good seafood as well. And then you also have access to all of the local tropical fruits. So I think Costa Rica overall is the best country to move to.
Nice, nice. And for the US, what would you think the best state to move to is?
Um, I think probably Florida. Florida is good, but I would say the problem with Florida is the EMF.
Yeah.
So you would need to find a good place in Florida, right? So I think in northern Florida, perhaps you can find a good place. And in the US, I'm pretty sure around Virginia, there's this place called the radio silent zone. So it's like this big chunk of land that essentially Wi-Fi and 5G is not allowed there. Because the government like uses it to like measure the frequencies, so they kind of need a quiet zone.
Yeah.
So so living there would be good as well. I'm not sure how good the food access is there, but from an EMF standpoint, that would be good. So I think for the US, I'd probably go with like northern Florida.
Yeah. What is your opinion on the school system, college, and just like working in general? Like, what do you think? What do you think of all about that?
I mean, yeah. So first of all, there's the health drawbacks of school and work. You're inside all day, disconnected from the environment with a bunch of artificial blue light that's gonna cook your health. Like, it really sucks because at the end of the day, you could be eating the perfect diet, but if you work at night under artificial blue light, you're still gonna be unhealthy. You know what I mean? So as for the health side of it, it's absolutely cooked. And then as for the mental side of it, it's like horrible too, because like you're just working all your life. You're not really able to enjoy life. You have maybe a few vacations. It's just really sad. You know what I mean? So I think that your goal in life should be to achieve freedom, because I think that we weren't born in this life to, just work a corporate job. You know what I mean? So
Yeah, of
that's my
course.
view on it.
And how old are you? Are you in school right now, or are you not?
Yeah, so I just graduated high school, so I'm 18.
What was your experience with it? Did you like it, not like it, or?
Right, so I think one of the positive aspects of school is the social aspect. So you're able to meet people, talk to people, meet friends. Because I think that if you live by yourself as like a teenager, it's kind of hard to meet people if not for school, right? So I think that's probably one of the best aspects of it. So I met good people, I met good friends, but overall, I did notice like my health went down when I wasn't on summer break, right? When I was back to school, not being able to be outside. So and then a lot of times I had to wake up completely unnaturally with the alarm clock in the dark when there's not even light outside, right? So I think all of those things took a toll on my health overall. So I'd say my experience wasn't that good, and I also felt that I was wasting a lot of time in there.
Yeah, and for someone who is wanting to live a stress-free life or live like a less stressful life and they needed to work a job and make money, what would you say to them? Like what job would you suggest?
Right. So I'm gonna speak for people in the US because this is something that I did in the past. You should start your own blue blue collar business. So I used to do window cleaning, right? And and you get paid like a lot more than just a regular job that you can get. I was making like 40 an hour, which is really good, right? Um, and that's something that anyone could start. Anyone can start a window cleaning business, go around the neighborhood. So I would say just do that, or work for a outdoor job. So you could work in door to door sales. Um, you could perhaps work for a park, right? So just don't work in like a supermarket or something like that. Choose a job that's going to support your health.
And have you like quit your job of window washing or are you just a full-time coach now?
Right. So yeah, I quit my job of window washing a long time ago because my partner had to stop working and then we kind of had the business together, so it kind of fell apart. Um, but yeah, for now, I'm just doing health coaching and content. I'm just focusing on that.
Nice, nice. How have your clients felt after like you've coached them and stuff? How has their health improved?
Right. So I noticed that a lot of my clients have felt like a lot better. Actually, a common problem that my clients have is low energy. So, like when they wake up, they don't really have a lot of energy. They don't feel their best. And I noticed that a lot of my clients, like their diets are like decently locked in, right? So they're eating kind of animal based, a lot of animal foods and stuff like that. But they just have no idea about all of the other stuff, like the light environment stuff, the EMF stuff, grounding, all that stuff. So so I'm able to kind of introduce them into that realm, give them all the protocols. And that's helped their energy a lot. So and I've gotten good results with my clients. So I'm happy with that.
Nice, that's good to hear. And on top of like health and you're helping people improve their health, how do you think helping improve your health helps improve your looks also?
Yeah, I think that at the end of the day, health is looks, right? Good genetics come from good health. And then also the development, proper tongue posture, proper postures through development, proper nutrition. A big thing in looks is like having a wide palate, well developed jaw, and that all comes through health, right? You can look at the work of Dr. Weston A. Price. So it was this doctor who went around the world and then analyzed like isolated and primitive tribes, right? And they all had like good features, well developed faces. And then he also analyzed like the modernized varieties of those people. And then their faces were kind of all collapsed in. They had narrow palates, tooth decay. So I think that health is a big part of looks. I would say that the earlier you start like health maxing, the more impact it's going to have on your looks,
Yeah.
right? Um, so I think like if you have like if you're like 4 years old and your mom puts you on, you know what I mean, that's like the best case scenario. You're gonna get the
Yeah.
most benefits. But I think a lot of people can really maximize their genetic potential by health maxing through puberty,
Yeah. And what is your opinion on like people like Clav or just like people in general using synthetic drugs to upregulate their looks, like testosterone and stuff like that?
Right. So I mean, a lot of it, like part of it does work, right? Like, how spamming growth hormone and testosterone, like that stuff is gonna grow your frame. Like you're gonna, I guess, develop good bone mass. But at the end of the day, it's not gonna be worth it because you're gonna age really fast. You're gonna look, the age pill is gonna catch up to you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You're not gonna have much longevity with your looks. So I guess like what's the point of looking good for 10 years if you're just gonna look like shit and feel like shit after? It's just not worth it.
Yeah. Yeah, of course. And to shift gears, what is your opinion on ogenous and vegetable juices? I know people are really religious with ogenous and the vegetable juices. What's your opinion on that?
Right. So I don't actually like. I don't agree with a lot of ogenous stuff, especially the vegetable juices. They claim that with the vegetable juices, it helps balance out the pH, the blood pH from raw meat, which makes absolutely no sense because you can't really manage your pH with food. Like you can't if you eat an alkaline food, that's not going to change your blood pH. You're just going to digest it. You know what I mean? Um, like being healthy overall is what's gonna put your pH in the perfect range. So the vegetable juices is complete cope, and then it's also just bitter and completely unintuitive. So there's no reason to drinking it. And then a lot of the ogenous points I disagree with, like saying water is bad for you, kind of demonizing cooked meat, overly demonizing cooked meat, cheese trains. Like there's just a lot of stuff that doesn't make any sense to me. But Ogenus, like he's the guy that kind of popularized eating raw meat for health. So, even if he did have a lot of bad points, he still, really made a good discovery that did good in the world. So, and the Ogenus diet is still like healthier than 99% of diets.
Yeah, of course. And with water, do you drink tap water or do you just aim for only spring water? Like, what's your opinion on water overall?
Right. So ideally I get spring water, but I don't really have much access to it. So I have reverse osmosis water, and then I remineralize it with like these mineral drops. So they just contain trace minerals, so it adds back the minerals in the water. And then I also like to charge the water in the sun, so this helps structure the water. Because infrared light kind of creates exclude the exclusion zone, which is the water within our bodies, and it structures the water into these hexagonal shapes. And I theorize that this helps with the absorption of water, right? Because imagine you have the water molecules in all like disconfigured state and you drink it. I think it's going to be a lot harder versus if the water molecules are structured in the same way that the water is structured in your cell. So I like to leave my water out in the sun for a little bit while I drink it, and then yeah.
So, what is your like? Why do you eat starches, potatoes, stuff like that? And why do you think people demonize them so much?
Right. So the main reason I eat starches is because it's just like a good source of carbs. Like a lot of people think that you don't need carbs, but in my opinion, carbs are supportive of health and especially in warm environments, right? And obviously you can eat fruit. Like I could just do fruit if I wanted to, since fruits are local to me and stuff like that. However, I do think that starches helps me just like get my carbs in, and I just find that they give me good energy. I haven't noticed any drawbacks of eating them, so there's no real reason for me to stop eating them. And they do have some anti-nutrients obviously, and you do have to cook them. However, I think that once cooked the anti-nutrients are kind of negligible. So yeah, I'd say the main reason I eat starches is because it's an easy way to get carbs, and I think that people demonize it because they believe that they believe that if something isn't eaten in the raw form, that means it's inherently toxic. Right. And they also believe that like some people just believe that like you don't need any carbs, so there's no point to it. But yeah.
So, on fruit, what are the health benefits of fruit? And do you eat like seasonal?
Yeah, so I eat seasonal. Eating seasonal is really important because it helps kind of configure you to the environment, right?
Yeah.
I think the main benefits of fruit is the carbs, right? The glucose, because that glucose is going to support the thyroid conversion of T4 to T3. So it's going to support thyroid function. It's going to refill liver glycogen. It's going to be a good energy source. So it's going to help you have energy throughout the day, right? So I think the main reason to eat fruit is for the carbs, for the glucose. And then fruit also has some compounds, I guess polyphenols that help you handle UV, like certain carotenoids actually help you handle the UV. So a lot of tropical fruits contain these compounds, and I think that nature kind of designed us to eat them, right, in order to better handle the sun. And they also give you signals to the environment. So if it's during summer and you're eating fruit, that's going to help kind of match you more to the summer mode. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, of course. And if you had to give some advice to someone who wanted to start the raw meat diet but was skeptical, what would you say to them?
I would say you need to look at examples of people that have done it for a long time and you see that they really don't get sick. Like on Excellent Health channel, there's this interview of this guy that's been eating raw meat for like 18 years or something like that, and he's not really gotten sick a single time.
Yeah,
And just look at all these people like doing it online, you know, just eating like rotted meat and they don't get sick. Like just understand that the narrative is completely, you know, skewed otherwise. And you kind of have to be a little like courageous a little bit to kind of defy all of that mainstream brainwashing and just try it for yourself. And I think the biggest thing that helps is kind of like your own experience, right? So if you're constantly eating raw meat, you're eating raw meat every day and you don't get sick, then eventually you realize, okay, the mainstream really is lying to me. Like like when I started eating raw meat, I was like, damn, I wonder if I'm gonna get sick. And I just kept doing it, not gotten sick, kept doing it, kept doing it. And then I just realized like, okay, you know, this is clearly not bad for us, right? So
yeah.
I think just going and taking that leap of faith.
How do you think people should introduce raw meat into their diet?
Right. So I recommend first starting with raw milk because that's like the easiest to taste the best. So getting raw milk from a good local farm. And then I would suggest incorporating raw fish like sushi, sashimi. That's all mainstream stuff. So that as well. And then starting to make steak tartare, right? So
Yeah,
I would recommend when you're first starting looking up recipes like that they use for restaurants, even if perhaps they don't have like I guess the most optimal ingredients. You know, it's still better to introduce you to raw meat than not. So I think just look up like those recipes with like capers, onions, all that stuff because they taste good, right? There's a reason they serve it at restaurants. And then after that, you could start implementing raw organs. I would recommend starting with raw liver from a good source, and then raw bone marrow as well.
how does raw liver taste and raw organs taste to you?
Right. So it really depends on the source. So raw liver from a good source, it tastes slightly sweet, and that the aftertaste is not like that strong. However, if you get it from a bad source, the aftertaste is going to be like really strong and not going to be sweet at all. So it just depends on the source. And then raw heart, it's just I don't really like it that much. It's really chewy. Raw bone marrow tastes really good actually. It kind of tastes like a fatty kind of like paste, if
Yeah,
that makes sense. Um, and then and then yeah, that's all the raw organs that I've tried.
nice, nice. So, what is your overall opinion on the mainstream health advice? What do you think people get wrong and people get right, and why do you think there's so much brainwashing in the media today?
Right. So I think a lot of people with the diet stuff, like they get the red meat being bad. Like a lot of people say that red meat is bad. They get that wrong. They think that cholesterol is the enemy. Um, they also think that like you have to protect UV, like we talked about, like you have to wear sunscreen and stuff like that. And I think the reason why that's out there is because this is going to like kind of some conspiracy theory stuff, but I think that like you know, the mainstream institutions like the elites and stuff like that, they really don't want you healthy because then they can't sell you pharmaceuticals. They can't, you're not as easy to control and stuff like that. So I believe that the elites like push these kind of like flawed studies through these institutions in order to like convince medical boards and stuff like that that like you should kind of avoid red meat, all that stuff. And then that's pushed on to doctors while they're in school. And then that's what doctors teach. And then the science kind of becomes a religion, right? Because even though the studies are flawed and they completely go against your intuition, it's kind of a religion. Like if you go against it, you know, you're cast as a doctor. If you go against it, you're cast out from your profession. You could get banned from practicing. So it's a really fucked up system.
Yeah, yeah. And to go back on that, what is your opinion on frozen meat? Do you eat do you think it loses nutrients? Do you think it's worthless, or what do you think about that?
Right. So I eat frozen meat a good amount. I don't think frozen meat is bad. I think it loses some of the B vitamins, like 10%,
Yeah.
right? But I don't think it's like exogenous claim that it destroys like 80% of nutrients. I think frozen meat is fine.
Yeah. And what's your opinion on like chicken versus beef?
Right. So Um, overall, beef is going to be a better meat to have as a base of your diet because it's a ruminant, so it doesn't accumulate as much linoleic acid in the fat. Chicken's going to have a lot more omega 6 in the fat, but I do see power in incorporating chicken a few times a week because the chicken is really high in vitamin K2, a lot more than beef, and vitamin K2 is like very important. So that's what I'd say. Keep beef as the base, but chicken have it a few times.
Yeah. And what is your opinion on like veganism overall? Like people who are still vegan, how they think it's good for the environment and good for their health.
Right. So I don't think it's like good for the environment at all because like one cow can feed a family for a year versus like all of the monocropping that's done. It completely destroys the environment, wipes out all the ecosystems and stuff like that. Versus regeneratively farmed beef is one of the like cleanest things there is. And then as for health, you're not getting any of the the animal nutrients that are essential. There's so many nutrients in animal products that you can't find in plant products, so you're gonna just be nutrient devoid.
Yeah. And what is your thoughts? I keep it YouTube appropriate, but what is your thoughts on cannibalism?
Cannibalism, like what do you mean? Like whether like it's good or bad or what?
Not like in that sense, but like do you think people used to eat humans? That's what I meant.
Right, right. Yeah, so I think that perhaps in certain rituals and practices, we used to eat humans. Like for example, the primitive people in Papua New Guinea, they ate humans till like 1970 or something like that, right? In like rituals and certain practices. I think historically it wasn't a main food source, right?
Yeah.
I don't think it's optimal to eat humans as well. Like, you can get prions from the brain really easily from human brain. You can get this thing called Kuru disease that like if you get it, you're cooked. Like you're literally dead if you get that.
Yeah.
So I don't think we're really meant to eat humans, but I'm sure that humans in the past have done it.
Yeah. And to shift gears more onto just like modern life, what is your opinion on one night stands? And do you think people should aim for a low body count and should aim for like a wife with a low body count, or you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think that you should aim to have a low body count yourself and to have a wife with a low body count because whenever you have intercourse with someone, it's like the most intimate state that you can be with someone, right? You're exchanging energy down to a very, very deep level. And oftentimes when you start to get these high body counts, you're exchanging energy with the wrong people. And it really kind of degrades your self-worth, especially as a woman. But I think as a man, you should also keep your body count low because you can't, in my opinion, you can't be expecting to have a wife with a low body count and then have a high body count yourself, right?
Yeah.
So I think that you should really not do hookups. Try to only have intercourse with people that you truly love.
Yeah.
So yeah.
How important is it to start a family in today's world?
I think it's really important because we see all of the negative aspects that come with the destruction of the nuclear family with modernization, right? So you see, kids growing up, turning out. Hold up, let me find a good way to put it. Turning out confused with their gender and stuff like that, right? So I think that having a nuclear family um, stops that. It ensures that that the children are growing up with good values, right? So I think for society to function, people need to contribute. They need to have families. Divorce rates need to go down.
Yeah. What do you think are like the biggest things that will decline a baby's health so that in the future they won't be as developed?
Yeah, I think a big thing is mouth breathing, like with your mouth open. That's a horrible thing. Like I personally am a victim of that. Like when I was young, I used to be a mouth breather. Like throughout all my childhood, I used to like suck my thumb and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It kind of messes up your palate. It messes up like how well your face develops. Also like nutrition and also sunlight exposure, right? Because if a kid is inside all day, they're gonna develop a bunch of problems like myopia. Their eyes are not gonna grow properly. They're not gonna develop well. So
What is your opinion on like baby food today and like baby formulas?
right, it's absolute slop. A lot of them have seed oils, not really good ingredients. So I think that ideally you should get a wife that could breastfeed. That's like one of the reasons to have your kid young because like humans in nature breastfed their kids till they were like 5 years old, right?
Yeah.
So so it's very important. But I think that not medical advice, by the way, but I think that if I had a children personally, I would, and my wife wasn't able to like give milk to the child, I probably would do something like raw goat's milk.
Yeah. What do you think are some of the best first real foods instead of breast milk that you should be feeding a baby?
Right. I think raw bone marrow is really good because it's like a soft food. Perhaps raw meat pate too.
Yeah.
Yeah, continue.
What is your overall opinion on like porn and dopamine?
Right. So dopamine is like people think that like, oh, you want to prevent dopamine. No, that's not what you want to do. Dopamine is extremely important for brain health, right? So you want to have high dopamine.
Yeah.
You want to be happy all the time, right? But the thing is, these things that spike your dopamine too much kind of destroy your natural dopamine release. It destroys your happiness. So things like porn and stuff like that, they're really bad for your dopamine, which is really important for your health.
Yeah, of course. And if you had to give someone advice to find like a really good, high quality woman, what advice would you give them?
Right, right. So I'm trying to work on that myself, but man, I'd say don't go to the wrong places, right? Like don't expect to meet I guess like a wife material kind of girl like at parties and stuff like that. Try to like find communities of like-minded people, right?
Yeah.
So maybe like go to like a church or something like that.
Are you religious and what are your thoughts on like religion?
Right. So I'm a Christian, yeah. So I'd consider myself religious, yeah. So I think that religion is something that is important to follow. Because I think that's ultimately what separates humans from the rest of animals. We're the only animal that's able to start religion.
Yeah.
So I think that exploring your spirituality, understanding that we're more than just, kind of the physical carnal realm is really important. So
Yeah,
I'd
of
say look
course.
into that. I think as a Christian, of course, I'd always recommend for people to read the Bible. But I'd say if you're kind of like lost on anything, you don't know whether to be Christian or atheist or naturalistic, right? Like there's a lot of people nowadays that think the sun is God and stuff like that. I would say read the book The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle. Um, because that book is kind of like a great starter into spirituality. It kind of gets you introduced into like kind of the concept of the inner divine and stuff like that. So I'd say start from there. And for people watching that are like atheists and don't really believe in anything, I think that just try being more spiritual. Like you'll really see positive changes in your life.
Yeah. All right, sounds good. Well, have you ever gotten sick from raw meat? And if you have, what did you do? Like,
Right. I've never gotten sick from raw meat. I've gotten sick from cooked meat, actually.
oh, really?
It's this, yeah, funny story. Um, so one day, like I just wake up, I'm fine, and I come home from school, and then I just start feeling like shit, and then I throw up 3 times. It was absolutely horrible, and then I had diarrhea for the next 2 days, and then I was also sick with a fever. And then my mom, like, I thought it was the raw milk, right? And then my mom also did too, and she started tweaking out. She's like, I'm done with your raw meat shit. Like,
Yeah.
this is the reason why you're sick. And then a couple hours later, I think that night, my dad got the same symptoms as me. So he started throwing up, got a fever, all that stuff. And my dad doesn't eat any raw meat or raw milk or stuff like that. So obviously it was this like cooked stew meat that we had. So
Yeah.
that just goes to show that a lot of people get food poisoning and it's not even raw milk or meat, and then they just blame it on the raw milk or meat. So like if my dad had never gotten sick, then I would think it was the raw milk.
Yeah. And do you think cooking even destroys like home? If the say you had like a bad piece of meat, do you think cooking would even do that much as people would say today that it would to help you prevent from getting sick?
Yeah, I think it would, because I kind of believe in a mix of the terrain theory and the germ theory. So I kind of think that like pathogens, when they react with toxicity, can cause disease, right?
Yeah.
So if you have toxicity present and you don't have the pathogen present, it won't really cause that detox. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that could be perceived as worse in certain scenarios because like you're not detoxing from the toxins, right?
Yeah.
So that could be probably worse even. But but I think that yeah, cooking can low quality meat can prevent you from getting sick, but it's not something that you should be aiming for. It's not a solution.
All right. And do you have any friends or family that eat raw meat also?
Um, Not really. No. I introduced a few of my friends to like raw meat, raw liver, but they just have it when I bring it, right?
Yeah.
They don't really like make it by themselves.
Yeah. All right. And what is your opinion on like long hair? Do you think it's very important for a man to have long hair in today's age?
Right. I mean, I think I like long hair, right? I think it's like more attractive on men, right, to have long hair. I'm not like I don't think it matters that much to be honest, but I think that it's better to have it like long rather than cut it short, or like at least have it like medium length, kind of like I have, you know.
Yeah. All right. And what do you think are the overall like if you had to tell someone and they were like living like a really bad life, a really unhealthy life, and they had to change one thing, what do you think they should change?
I think the first thing they should change is they should obviously just stop eating ultra processed foods, right? That's number one, and then number two, they should fix their light environment. So they should get blue light glasses. They should wake up as soon as they wake up. They should go outside and get the bright light.
Nice, nice. And what's your opinion on fiber as a whole? I know there's insoluble fiber and soluble fiber. Talk about the benefits of insoluble fiber and the negatives of soluble fiber.
Right. Wait. Sorry to interrupt, but I just have like 20 more minutes left. Just letting you know.
Okay, yeah, that's fine.
All right. Yeah. So fiber. Um. I think that fiber is kind of just like there. It's not really like something that you should be worried about or concerned about. Like I know people like are like, oh, let me hit my fiber goal, but it's just the indigestible part of the plant. It doesn't really matter. And oftentimes, the insoluble fiber can be harmful actually for people with IBS or gut issues. But I would say for people with IBS and gut issues, they should avoid fibrous foods. And for people that have a healthy gut, they should just not care about fiber.
Yeah, 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 of course. And what is your opinion on like seed oils on a whole?
Right. So I mean, seed oils are bad because you're getting too much linoleic acid, which is going to make your cell membranes a lot more permeable, right?
Yeah,
A lot weaker. So that's going to generate a lot of stress on the body, right? And also like those seed oils already come oxidized on the shelf, and then when you get like fried foods and seed oils, a lot of toxic byproducts from cooking, like in really really high amounts, like way more than you would get from like cooking meat or something like that, or ingested. That's not good either.
what is one opinion that you have that you think most people would disagree with in today's modern world?
Probably that you shouldn't wear sunscreen.
Yeah, sunscreen is pretty bad. Yeah.
Yeah.
And what is like how is your health like how has your health like perspective changed over time? Like have you changed anything in your diet or like your like knowledge on health over time?
Yeah. At first I started like, with the whole kind of just whole foods mentality, like a little bit of vegetables, some meats, kind of a varied diet. And then after I became more animal based, so focusing on animals, stuff like that. And then I started realizing that diet is not the only thing that matters. So I started getting into like a lot of the Jack Cruz stuff, like light environment, EMF, the grounding, all that. And then I kind of realized that I was doing animal based a little wrong because I was getting way too much protein in, and not enough fat and carbs. So I started dialing it down on the protein, started eating more fat and carbs, and then that's pretty much where I'm at now.
What do you think like why is it bad to get too much protein?
Right. I think that it's just an opportunity cost because um, after a certain amount of protein that you get, it doesn't really do much for you because you only need like a 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight to build proper tissue, right? Support function. And then after that, it's an opportunity cost when you could be eating fat or carbs that directly provide energy for you.
Yeah. One I have a we're gonna end it soon, but I have a couple more questions. What is being healthy actually mean to you? So how do people know if they're actually healthy? I know a lot of people say they're healthy, but they're actually not. But what does being healthy actually mean to you?
Right. Being healthy to me, it just means feeling good in the day to day, like waking up, having high energy, going outside, feeling happy, looking forward to life. Um, I think that's a big thing. Like, I think that even if you have a perfect diet and stuff like that, if you have just this nihilistic viewpoint on life, you're stressed all the time, you have no friends, I don't think you're healthy either, right? So
Yeah,
I think, just overall being a happy guy, being like, I guess even looking healthy also, like if people tell you that, oh, you look healthy, like if that's something, a compliment that you get a lot, that's a good sign.
yeah. And in the future of your like content journey, what are some big projects that you want to work on in the future?
Right. So right now I'm working on developing a school community, right? So where I'm just gonna kind of put all of my health protocols and thoughts in there. So that's where I'm headed to right now.
Nice, nice. And yeah, I think that was it. I think that was a good interview. Where can people find your content?
Right. So at Enzo Health on all socials, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok. So yeah, that's it, bro. It was a good interview, bro.
All right, sounds good.